I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to.
Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Patreon-sponsored review time again, and I feel like I should just create a specific subcategory of these kind of reviews. Make Linkara watch things that everyone else likes already.
When you hear DreamWorks animation, usually what comes to mind is Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, Baby's First Oh My God, Shut Up meme.
Because truly that's what my shelf was missing, a copy of B-Movie.
And surprisingly, more often than not, Megamind. Don't take this the wrong way, but why? Make no mistake, I thought the film was alright. I thought it was pretty clever and had a funny idea. But people really seem to connect with this flick.
Everybody loves it. I was aware that it came out and it was popular among people, both my fellow critics as well as general audiences, but I'm not really a big follower of animated films, films for kids, and superhero media outside of the big two.
Even more attention was brought to it though when, apparently, the Batman and Robin of DreamWorks sequels was released this year. This got a lot of people looking back to re-examine why the original worked so well, and yeah, I guess I wanted to revisit it for similar reasons too. As someone who saw this film as totally fine, but not a game changer in any way, I've been interested in why so many people adore it as much as they do. I guess since it came out in 2010, you could argue many people have grown up with it, so it is nostalgia. But I don't think it's just that. I knew a lot of fully grown adults who felt like this movie was really speaking to them, and I found that kind of fascinating. So, seeing how I literally haven't seen it since it came out, I want to give this film another go and see why so many people swear by it and examine whether or not I'm missing something.
I don't know, sometimes hype works for me and gets me wanting to watch something outside of doing it for a review. Other times I just shrug and fail to see what the big deal is when it's described to me. In the case of Megamind, people wanted me to go into this one without any real prior knowledge, so I guess, yeah, I'll do that. I only know it involves superheroes and supervillain stuff.
So let's go back in time to when Twilight and Jersey Shore were all the rage. Okay, I'm already seeing why people valued this. Let's take a look at Megamind.
Let's dig into the DreamWorks animated film Megamind and see if this is one of those cases where my tastes align with you guys's. We open with the DreamWorks logo of that kid in the moon fishing. There is no bait on that hook. Does he actually plan on catching anything, or does he just enjoy holding a stick?
The film opens with a monologue from our hero/villain named Megamind, played by Will Ferrell, who seems to be falling to his doom.
Here's my day so far. Went to jail, lost the girl of my dreams, and got my butt kicked pretty good.
Mr. Freeze sounds peppier than normal.
Things could be a lot worse. Oh, that's right. I'm falling to my death.
Still, nice sunset, gotta appreciate the view.
How did it all come to this, you ask?
How did it come to? I bet you're wondering how it got here intro. Alright, to be fair, this is over a decade old and a family film, so I think you can give that trope a little leeway.
Hey, wait, is the DreamWorks logo kid actually trying to save this guy with his fishing rod? That'd make sense. Anyway, we flash back to him as a baby on his alien world, apparently a kind of Superman-style origin where the planet is falling apart thanks to it falling into a black hole, or at least some kind of spatial anomaly.
I was 8 days old and...
I don't think this new edition of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is gonna sell well with its new cover. Naturally, when you're sending your baby to parts unknown, the two things he needs most in the universe: a pacifier and a fish.
Here is your minion. He will take care of you.
Not if it was made by Illumination Entertainment.
Yes, there was another anime movie sidekick that year named Minion, and sadly that's not the one objectifying merchandise.
His father says he's destined for something, but the baby can't hear it as the door on his ship closes. There was a second ship launched with another baby, both setting out to Earth, though our narrator's ship gets knocked around a bit more. And baby's dead! Okay, I suppose since he's an alien, maybe that wouldn't actually affect him. But yeah, that really should kill him.
Another far better looking alien race sends their last surviving child too, and he takes what would have been his life of luxury as Megamind literally lands in jail. This obvious loose reality says sure, why not, and allows the prisoners to raise Megamind in the ways of evil.
I guess in this world, people don't really question these things. The rich family has a negligent father who doesn't even notice the baby, and the mother is just, ooh, a baby, how thoughtful. The criminals raise the kid, because I guess the guards in this place are all dealing with the asthma monster or something, who has a super genius intellect, so that even as a baby, he invents a tricycle that can shoot lightning bolts, and is still a prisoner even as a little kid. Actually, the more I think about it, this is depressingly reflective of the real world.
He sadly has no powers apart from extreme intellect, and when he goes to school, he sees his rival as all sorts of bells and whistles. Most of them very showy in 3D. Yes, this film tries hard to remind us that this was in fact made for 3D.
The two ended up as rivals throughout their lives, with the privileged kid, who for simplicity's sake I'll just tell you is Metro Man, wowing everyone around with his vast array of Superman powers, while our narrator's awesome abilities, like building a robot body for his minion and making corn explode, is treated with fear by other kids. Okay, this part is not reflective of the real world because these kids should think this is frickin' amazing.
After spending years as an outcast and jokes that probably wouldn't play too well today, but I still think are kind of funny, Megamind decides to embrace his villainhood. They grow up years later still fighting, as his nemesis becomes a superhero adopting the name Metro Man, voiced by Brad Pitt.
Metro Man was so named because of his defense of Metro City, and we rejoin the story on a day honoring him for his superheroics by the opening of a museum to him. To continue the Superman stuff, a local reporter who is constantly kidnapped by Megamind, Roxanne Ritchie, is abducted by him while he makes his escape from prison. Meanwhile, at Metro Man Day, this movie really does not like babies.
So you may notice this is in the days when DreamWorks Animation was still trying to figure out their style. The funny thing is, they were pretty good at making unappealing characters look appealing, like Megamind or his monster sidekick played by David Cross simply named Minion. But whenever they need to make characters look cute or attractive, that's bizarrely when they start to look ugly. Like local damsel in distress reporter Roxanne Ritchie, played by Tina Fey. She's supposed to be a knockout, but she just looks like the boss baby with hair. I think it's the creepy huge eyes, and flushed cheeks, and weird small lips. They all look like Margaret Keane mannequins. I don't like looking at them. I guess Metro Man looks okay, even though he's eerily close to looking like the president from Monsters vs. Aliens. God, why do some of these early DreamWorks characters gross me out? He looks like a California raisin.
At Megamind's lair, Roxanne is unconcerned, having gone through the kidnapping routine so many times now it's become old hat, especially since Metro Man always beats him. He contacts Metro Man to taunt him, even creating a shroud of darkness over the area.
Megamind lures Metro Man to a false location, planning to zap him with a death ray. They trade supposedly good quips back and forth.
I think your warranty is about to expire.
Maybe I got an extended warranty.
Warranties are invalid.
Girls, you're both pretty. Can I go home now?
I think I'm gonna say that whenever an internet battle over anything happens. But to Megamind's surprise, Metro Man admits his secret weakness is copper, so he's unable to escape and he's blown up with a death ray.
All right, how you gonna get him? Skeleton power?
So yeah, he just killed the superhero. The villain won. Well hey, work's done early. Great job, you can take the rest of the day off. And thus he begins his takeover of the city, easily frightening the cops to drop their guns, and stops his boombox playing Highway to Hell just before it says hell. Because, you know, murdering someone is okay in this children's movie, just not saying a naughty word.
With no one to stop him, Megamind takes over the city, doing pretty much whatever he wants, but almost instantly feels empty.
We have it all. Then why do I feel so melancholy?
I will admit, for a DreamWorks animated superhero movie, this is kind of a different angle. I love The Incredibles, and I think it's a better film, but it does go more the traditional route. This is definitely a different take, at least in terms of how family superhero movies go.
After she makes a broadcast eulogizing Metro Man, Roxanne's clearly depressed, and her cameraman offers her the chance to come to a party at his place, with a bouncy castle and dip.
I don't really feel like being around a bunch of people.
No, that's the best part. It'll just be like you and me.
Okay, dude, Human Resources is gonna give you a call in the morning. Both she and Megamind head to the Metro Man Museum, both lamenting his loss. But while Roxanne is encouraged to leave by a worker as she's unhappy about evil running rampant, Megamind's own final words to his nemesis are a bit more final.
So it's good that we have this time now, before I destroy the place. Nothing personal, it's just
brings back too many painful memories.
Well, at least he's trying to work through his emotions in a constructive... Ooh, wait.
Oh, and look, Ben Stiller's voice for some reason.
Bernard, I'll just be another minute.
Okay. Oh, and his kids voiced some students too? What, do you have a hand in making it or something? Oh, he did! With Guillermo del Toro? J.K. Simmons. Okay, I'm gonna stop randomly naming people because they just show up here.
Spotting Roxanne, he doesn't want her to see him while he's in his pajamas. And fair enough, it's hard to maintain your image like that. Though you could just kill her so she won't tell anyone. He runs into the worker, Bernard, and uses his tech to assume his identity, dehydrating the guy's body into a cube. In the elevator ride down, she once again expresses her sorrow over his death.
Oh, if only the world had a reset button.
I've looked into the reset button. The science is impossible.
Explains how it worked so well on Star Trek Voyager, then. I'd say the fact that Megamind still has a huge head would be a giveaway to his true identity, but honestly, I think everybody in this movie has a giant head. When she mentions that heroes aren't born, they're made, he gets inspired to create a superhero to fight.
Put the past behind us. Only the future. Oh, I'm too close!
Should have installed a pause button or something for your countdown, man. Rookie mistake. Using a sample of DNA from Metro Man's cape, he intends to give someone Metro Man's powers and train them to be a worthy foe, hoping to restore everything back to the way it was. The Minion is less than enthusiastic about this plan, but Megamind can't be swayed.
From this, we'll extract the source of Metro Man's awesome power.
Okay, I have no idea if this is intentional, but that looks like a cameraman reflection. If that is, then that's automatically the funniest joke in the movie.
Bernard, it's Roxanne. I just found his secret hideout.
Roxanne discovers his hideout, so Megamind continues the facade of being Bernard. Some of this can be pretty entertaining.
His strength's too much! Oh, I work out! Well, it's really paying off!
You know, for a reporter, she doesn't question enough things. The gun with the superpowers accidentally hits her cameraman, Hal, played by Jonah Hill.
I was just about to make my frontal assault to rescue you, but like 50 ninjas tried to attack me.
That's just how Jonah Hill defended the movie Don't Look Up as well.
Despite the fact that Hal clearly is not cut out for these kind of powers, and they have the ability to take the powers out of him, Megamind thinks this is destiny and wants to follow through with the plan. After knocking him out, the power infusion works and Hal gets super buff, though it does nothing for his hair. And Megamind uses his disguise watch to transform into a parody of Marlon Brando's Jor-El, claiming to be his real father who sent him to Earth and all.
You've been blessed with unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable.
Like super strength, flight, and heat vision. You cannot fathom these things.
I never thought you'd have to teach a comedian how to do a Marlon Brando impression, but I think Farrell needs that course.
This is a dream come true. I'm like your space dad.
He sounds like the brain has that pierced tongue guy from Rat Race in his teeth. It doesn't work, and not really in a funny way. He tries to train him as a hero and even calls him Titan, but he's so self-absorbed and rotten he can't get through to his good side.
To Titan! Tomorrow, you will fight Megamind, and the city will know your name.
To the only city that looks more like a middle finger than Chicago does.
During this, Megamind is also falling for Roxanne in the Bernard persona, and it's changing him. When she mentions a park that she used to visit as a child is now a dump, he uses his tech to eliminate trash, as well as a poor stray cat. I would just like to point out that our protagonist and main character in the children's movie still has a murderous body count. He even returns all the stolen artwork, though still defaced. Upon reflection, though, that might have actually been the Joker who did that. On a date, Roxanne admits to Bernard that she and Metro Man were never actually a couple. It was just assumed by the public given how often she was kidnapped and rescued by him. You'd think that a reporter would want to clarify that point more, although all Megamind can really think about is Roxanne, to the Minions' disapproval.
What happens when Roxanne finds out who you really are?
She will never find out. That's the point of lying.
There is logic in what he says.
As they argue, Megamind admits that he may not want to be evil anymore, and that he doesn't need his minion to look after him. Upset, the minion leaves. Wow, we're having the third act breakup right at the halfway point.
Yeah, how about that? A DreamWorks plot that sounds similar to another film this year that's not Disney. Who are you? This causes them to have a falling out, leading to both a pathetically sad but also really funny goodbye.
Good luck on your date.
I will!
That doesn't even make any sense.
I know!
How most supervillains say I love you to one another. Roxanne figures out what Megamind is up to in the most nonsensical way. See, in this world, that Rise of Skywalker dagger thing could totally work. Nah, it's still good.
Hal soon shows up as Titan to try to woo her, but of course his way of wooing her is to kidnap her, drop her so he can save her, and manhandle her like an ass. He reveals who he is to her, but she makes it clear that she's not interested in him at all.
I'll admit at first I found Hal to be a pretty boring villain. But when you sadly do meet a few horny, brainless creeps in your life, you do realize the idea of them having superpowers is kind of terrifying.
Why, Hal?
This
Just
isn't
take a deep
right.
breath and listen
You're
to me for a
supposed to
moment.
be with me. It's Titan, not Hal.
Well, Hal, sounds to me like the T stands for toxic masculinity, you douche.
Man, this is the biggest a-hole Jonah Hill's ever played since Jonah Hill.
Since he won't listen to her trying to warn him about him being involved in Megamind's plot, he just flies off and breaks some windows in the process. She arrives for her date with Bernard, having figured out Megamind's plan, but notes that Hal is the worst person to pick to be a superhero, not helped by him outside observing this date. And when Megamind brings up the possibility of liking someone who looks different, she says that you judge someone by their actions. They kiss, and she accidentally activates his hologram watch, revealing who he really is. Worst part is, they hadn't actually eaten yet, so now the date is ruined and they're hungry. Outside, the rain rehydrates the garbage and the cat, so I guess that's one death undone at least. She also makes it clear that she could never love him, and both walk away dejected.
Again, I originally found this third act breakup and liar reveal plot pretty lame the first time, but I will admit the expression on his face really says a lot without having to say a lot.
Do you really think that I would ever be with you?
The way he said that and the way it was animated clearly shows this is all he's ever known. It's not even that he wanted to be this way, it's just that's all he's ever been taught. And he learned it so well that when he tried something else, he was both too good and too bad at it. And you can't really blame Roxanne either, that's all she's ever known him as too. A deceiver. I wish it was just a little less rom-com-y, but it does still work.
Returning to his lair, he suits up for his battle with Titan, and wow, his new outfit is making Queen Amidala jealous. The collar's so big, new Teen Titans Nightwing is feeling inadequate. The next day, he flies into town in a giant robot suit, calling out Titan. However, the day passes as he waits at City Hall, Titan never showing up. Pissed, he goes to Hal's apartment to look for him and finds him playing video games, alongside a bunch of money and stuff he stole. He rants that being the good guy means nothing to him if he can't win the girl and wants to team up with Megamind.
In fact, he's actually doing more evil than good. However, Megamind gets his fight when he reveals he's the one dating Roxanne. This battle is also pretty hilarious.
Come out, you little freak!
I am way too big a sucker for giant, massive, loud machines somehow sneaking around. When Megamind finds out Titan is so evil he wants to kill him as opposed to take him to jail, he tries Copper to defeat him, but for some reason it doesn't work. So he goes to Roxanne for help.
What do you want?
An intro course to Meme Generator. I might have something with that previous image. She agrees to help him, knowing Titan will destroy the city if she doesn't.
He can take away his powers again with the same gun that gave them to him, but it's in his invisible car, which he left somewhere in the city the night she dumped him. This is a big contrivance. He's smart enough to figure out where it was, or, given his intellect up to this point, have some kind of recall or homing device in it. Or just construct a new gun. Honestly, would have worked better if, say, it was damaged, or the minion took it with him or something. They head to Metro Man's old hideout, hidden under the old schoolhouse the two used to go to, and find Metro Man there. He admits that during their earlier fight, he used his super speed to escape and had an existential crisis of his own, sick of doing the same dance with Megamind that he'd been doing his whole life. He's always just been expected to be the hero by everyone, so he played the role. As such, he decided that he could choose his own fate without disappointing anyone, by faking his own death. Yeah, the Copper thing was bullcrap. I mean, it would be kind of hard for him to go through his entire life without ever interacting with pennies. I kid, of course. He totally could. Pennies are only like 2.5% copper nowadays.
I love this because it's almost like saying if Superman is so fast he could fly around the Earth in time travel, why couldn't he be so fast he could do something like this? There's like a million conflicts that could have been resolved with this. And it doesn't even take like a few minutes in his time. It takes like a week.
But what about what I wanted to do?
No one said this hero thing had to be a lifetime gig. I can be whatever I want to be.
I mean, if this is how he promoted reading, clearly he wasn't a fast reader, so that gives you an idea. He decides to do what most people who abandon their true talents do, go into music.
And Music Man was born.
Music Man?
You don't look anything like Robert Preston.
I have eyes that can see right through lead.
You can't sing that bad unless the guy who directed these is involved.
They're pissed and want his help, but he tells Megamind that if evil rises, good will rise in turn to counter it. He's out of the game and found his true calling producing song lyrics, but maybe this is Megamind's time to find his true calling. Roxanne still wants to try, but unfortunately Megamind is even more despondent now, not believing himself to be the good guy. He turns himself back into jail while Roxanne heads into the city to try to reason with Titan. He rants at her about how this is the first time she's expressed any interest in being a friend to him in any way, and it's too late now. I don't know, I know this is the villain talking, but I can't help but feel the movie is trying to pass the blame a bit on her for not being friends with him when, you know, he was kind of an ass before. Not a total one, he seemed to have a little bit of self-awareness before he got the superpowers, but it comes across a bit like she's being blamed a bit for the situation, and I'm iffy on that. Using the news equipment, Titan calls out Megamind to come stop him, threatening Roxanne's life. She tries to inspire him, pointing out that his most admirable quality was never running from a fight, even when he knew he was going to get his ass kicked. It's a fine line between determination and stupidity. The minion shows up disguised as the warden, and Megamind admits how he's wronged everyone, including the minion, and said minion lets him out so they can think of a plan. Megamind shows up with an army of robots shaped like his head and proclaims that Titan may be a villain, but not a supervillain.
What's the difference?
Presentation!
Showmanship.
So this is where I get a little split on the movie. He of course goes to rescue her and the villain fights the hero, but get this, the roles are reversed. And yeah, nothing much funny is done with it. It's just a pretty generic action scene with pretty generic dialogue.
Titan starts chucking buildings around. It was established earlier that most of the city is evacuated, so now we're only leaving thousands of people homeless. And hits Megamind, who tosses Roxanne away to safety. Titan tosses a bus at Roxanne, but fortunately Metro Man has had a change of heart and comes back, making sure to shave first. Gotta prioritize after all. However, when Roxanne goes over to Megamind's body, it turns out it was the minion in disguise. Megamind is actually impersonating Metro Man. Frightened of someone who can actually kick his ass, Megamind threatens Titan to leave and never come back. Unfortunately, because of Megamind's habit of calling Metro City Metrocity, Titan figures out the deception. Roxanne and Megamind find the invisible car and grab the gun, which needs to power up. Titan chucks him into the sky, bringing us back to the beginning of the film as he falls to his death.
And I gotta say it's weird that only 2 major roles are switched up when there's 4 major characters you could use. Obviously Titan has to be the villain, but maybe you could have Roxanne as the hero and Megamind as the captive and Metro Man as the person who can't solve the problem. Or maybe Megamind as the hero, Metro Man as the captive, and Roxanne as the person who can't solve the problem. Whatever combo you go with, everyone can discover something different about themselves from a different point of view. I guess you could argue Metro Man's kind of the useless bystander, kind of like what Hal was before, but then Roxanne's still in the same role. It just feels like there's more opportunities that could have been taken advantage of here. Because this is so boring to me. Yet they're acting like something like this has never been done in a comedy.
He's the real hero.
Thing about bad guys, they always lose.
You won.
Well, I finally had a reason to win.
We're the good guys now.
I guess we are.
Like, remember when Enchanted brought up the daring idea that a woman can save the day, even though it's been done in a lot of movies by that point, even in Disney films? It kind of has that vibe. Granted, I still like that movie fine, and I still like this one too. So I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. The focus is still on Megamind and the point's still gotten across. He doesn't have to be what he thinks fate is determined for him. I guess you could argue it is kind of interesting that not every major character has a major part. You could argue it's teaching you that some people who leave really will just leave and never come back. Some folks can overcome, but others are just gonna let you down. There is some valuable stuff here for a family film. I just wish if it wasn't doing anything that new, it'd at least do something really funny. And this...
You're living a fantasy. There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Tooth Fairy, and there is no Queen of England.
Okay, it's sometimes funny. And true. And this, of course, brings us to where we started off, as he totally dies, y'all. No, he figures a way out and takes away the powers from Titan.
As established earlier, when the dehydrated cubes are exposed to water, they return to normal. So he does so and takes the powers back from Hal.
He, of course, is the new hero in town and even ends up getting together with Roxanne.
Also, crowds of people show up to celebrate him. Out of nowhere. Oh, so I guess there were still lots of people in the city. Bigger body count than Megamind then.
He probably killed millions going psycho on that city, but it's all in good fun. We have fun here.
And so Megamind is heralded as a hero.
I have to admit, being good has its perks.
Most good guys don't really have minions. I mean, for crying out loud, I know a reviewer out there who is most decidedly evil and has her own.
And 2010's anime movie, so of course, there's a dance party at the end.
With the warden and 2 guards doing the Night at the Roxbury dance for some reason, despite the song playing being Michael Jackson's Bad.
And that was Megamind. It's about as good as I remember it.
This movie's pretty good. I don't think it's particularly brilliant or anything, just pretty good.
Yeah, there was no major development watching it again that completely changed my mind, but it's still perfectly fine.
I think part of it is my own experience with the genre, sadly. I've seen superhero deconstructions before. A lot of them. This is not a bad one. I like that the hero he creates is a worse kind of villain than him, and frankly, the entitlement and toxicity Hal exhibits makes him more unique than just simply wanting power and revenge or anything. But I've kind of seen things like this before, so it didn't really surprise me that much.
Maybe part of why so many enjoy it is that a lot of younger people grew up with this film and were introduced to some of these ideas here. Bad turning good, fate is what you make it, people surprising you in both good and bad ways. Also, if you're an adult that really gravitated towards this film, maybe you're drawn to the fact that it's a character that's had a very checkered past, hasn't been taught that great, but still accomplishes a lot of good. I guess those are ideas that a lot of adults can connect to. It's also an anime family movie that doesn't talk down too much to its viewers. There's a lot of moments of characters just having conversations and not always needing to throw in a sight gag or one-liner, which might be unique for younger people watching anime comedies. I guess if I was a kid, I would respect the fact that they're trying to have more adult conversations and talk about adult ideas, and seeing it in a major anime movie, maybe that would have connected with me.
It's also good that Roxanne, despite the movie's dialogue with the age-old get the girl adage considers her a trophy to be won, is actually a character with intelligence and agency, actively contributing a lot to the plot and helping resolve the situation. That being said, it's never brought up that one of the reasons why their relationship is bad is because Megamind lied and dated her under a false identity. Sure, the fact that he's a supervillain who has committed technically worse acts is probably more the priority, but they never really have Megamind apologize for what he did. Hell, they make a joke of it when they're on their way to Metro Man's base.
I think there's an apology in order for the other night.
Okay, that would be nice, but make it quick. We have much more pressing matters to deal with.
It feels like some bits are missing, like we never get resolution on what Megamind's parents were gonna say to him before the door closes. It felt like that was a moment that was setting up for something later that never happened. Or why Metro Man is suddenly okay with Megamind after spending his entire life in competition with him. Sure, the self-reflection bit and all, but he was still a privileged douchebag, and the movie just treats that like an amusing anecdote about him and not part of some systemic problem with him as a person, confronting his own character flaws. It's just, I don't want to be a hero anymore. I'm bored. I'm not a huge fan of the art style. As I said, everyone's head is shaped weird in an exaggerated manner, but the cartooniness of the characters feels a bit off when compared to, say, the realistic hair and fabric textures or the city itself. Hell, the animation is kind of weird at points. I'd often pause while writing the review, and the paused image would kind of remind me of a 90s CGI film with how awkward that can look. And I should remind everyone, these are my own personal nitpicks. This is not a bad movie at all. It's funny, it's got character arcs, it's got some interesting, if underdeveloped, ideas. There's great setup and payoff for Megamind's tech. The hydration gun, the hologram watches, having to charge up something. It's a well-constructed movie, and you should check it out if you're into this kind of thing. But it didn't blow me away.
If I grew up with it, maybe I'd see more of the impact it had, but as is, I still see it as a good flick. Decent message, smart jokes, inventive animation. It's not a personal favorite, but its hard work and effort makes it just super enough.
Next time, we complete our trio of Patreon-sponsored episodes with an event comic. Normally, we'd only do those during Event Comics Month, but that's reserved for the big two. Instead, let's check out IDW's Revolution and the return of Rom Space Knight.
I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy, remember? So you don't have to.
I'm in a heated existential discussion with this dead-eyed plastic desk toy.
Girls, you're both pretty. Can I go home now?